From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight. Second batch of Nigerians evacuees returned to Abuja from Ukraine. Court sets free wife of suspected killer of Hanifa Abubakar after her testimony. Gbajabiamila says another round of constitutional amendment to commence soon. And on the foreign scene, Ukrainian UN envoy accuses Russia of nuclear terrorism as Russian envoy dismisses reports of attack on nuclear plant. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. The second batch of Nigerian evacuees from Ukraine have arrived Abuja Friday evening. A total of 183 evacuees were airlifted by Air Peace aircraft. Government officials profiled these returnees, including tests against COVID-19, before they are finally released to unite with their families. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Displaced Persons, Saidia Umar, said her ministry will do all within its powers to ensure welfare of the returnees.
Release missions like this, Mr. President has the powers to direct wherever we have funds for the funds to be provided. So that is most important, and the funds have been provided and we have started.
These are Nigerians coming into their country. So why are they paying them in dollars? Why are they giving them in dollars instead of naira?
Well, it's an emergency situation, as I mentioned, and we have to act promptly. And what was approved was in dollar, because we have to take a memo to Mr. President and the airlines. You have to pay them in dollar, and this dollar can be changed to naira equivalent. And we know what we are paying. We are giving them 58,000 naira. So it's an emergency situation, and I'm sure the currency can be changed.
I'm talking about the isolation. Why is it
talking about what?
The isolation period for evacuees, that they should be isolated in the various homes? And some of us, let me put it out, they might not fit the rules so far. Why is it that the federal government did not pay for this accommodation to monitor them?
You know that we have passed that stage of keeping people. People have to take responsibility, and we expect each and every one of them to be responsible enough. We have their documents, and we are going to trace them. So there's going to be contact tracing, and whoever we have seen that we have taken the sample, whoever has issues, we're going to follow up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And bandits have killed 5 persons at Manini village near Kuriga along Birnungwari Kaduna Highway of Kaduna State. Chairman Birnungwari Vanguards for Security and Good Governance, Ibrahim Nagwari, stated this in a statement on Friday. According to the statement, the bandits killed 1 person in Kuriga, 2 people in Birnungwari, and 2 others at Udawa villages. He also said in Zamfara, 7 people were injured by bandits who stormed communities late in the night on Thursday. Nagwari called on the state government, security agencies to provide adequate security measures along the Birnungwari axis, as bandits and criminals have taken over the entire community, unleashing mayhem at will and wiping out communities. A Kano State Magistrate Court has ordered the release of Jamila, wife of Abdulmalik Tanku, self-confessed killer of 5-year-old Hanifa Abubakar. The woman, who was accused of conspiring with her husband to kidnap and subsequently murder the minor, was set free on Friday. Jamila had stated her innocence when she testified against her husband at a Kano High Court on Thursday. Earlier, State Counsel Barrister Lamido Soran Dinki prayed the court to look into the testimony given by the woman. Jamila had testified before Justice Usman Naabba of the Kano High Court against her husband, narrating how he brought the little girl Hanifa to the house till the day he took her out of her home. The head of service of the Federation has been asked to resign over allegations of gross misconduct and retrogressive tendencies. Coalition of Civil Societies for Equity, Justice and Good Governance accused the head of service of frustrating recruitment into federal tertiary institutions and other government departments and agencies. The group threatens protest within 7 days if the head of service fails to resign or if the federal government fails to sack her from office. The report.
Speaking during a peaceful march at the Unity Fountain in Abuja, co-leader of the coalition group, Comrade Danny Simomo, said it was appalling that after the initial call by the group for Dr. Esson's resignation, nothing was done on the part of government. Consequently, it has threatened to protest within 7 days if the head of service fails to honorably resign or the federal government fails to sack her from office. The group noted that rather than face the issues that have been raised previously, the office of the head of service of the Federation had decided to deny the allegations with no clear proof. The group alleged that aside the official recruitment into the Federal Civil Service, the head of service has been known to conduct recruitment from backdoor for a long time, even in the face of the so-called embargo on employment. It claimed that racketeering, which had become the order of the day in the Federal Civil Service, is conducted by the head of service under her watch.
Sequel to our 7 days ultimatum and failure of the federal government to act by sacking the head of service for gross misconduct as well as her inability to honorably resign due to the retrogressive policies, we are here today to sound another note of warning on the office of the head of civil service of the Federation and demand that justice be done for the greater good of Nigerians. Instead of facing the issue we have previously raised and addressed them appropriately, the office of the head of service decided rather to deny all the allegations with unsubstantiated points. We are challenging her to come before the public and face what we have deposited before the public, to come and deny her. Our office is very, very incompetent. The Federal Ministry of Education and the National University Commission do not decide when university recruit or when the polytechnic recruit or when the colleges of education recruit. These two bodies are not involved in staff auditing and therefore cannot grant approval for the university to recruit. The head of service is being economical with the truth and must be made to accountable for the gross misconduct he has misled our nation.
However, a statement from the head of service of the Federation, signed by Director of Communications, Abdulganiyu Aminu, denied the allegations, insisting that embargo on employment was still in force.
Meanwhile, the rejection of a bill to create mayor for the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, by the Senate is generating reactions. The Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education says original inhabitants of Abuja deserves mayoral status and appointment of minister. The original inhabitants of the territory say the rejection means continuous marginalization for indigents despite ceding their lands for the creation of Nigeria's current federal capital.
Structural state of our democracy. If the National Assembly is unable to meet the people's demands and implement what they truly require, it should abandon its pretentious posture of holding public hearings to hear the people's wishes and aspirations. It is also worth noting that by rejecting the peacefully expressed demands of the FCT original inhabitants, the NAS has unwittingly created the impression that those who pursue peaceful and non-violent means of self-determination will be ignored. This is a very dangerous signal to send in a country like Nigeria, which is already torn apart by strife and separatist agitations.
Since 2019, the National Assembly was calling for constitutional review, and which a huge amount of resources were given to them to execute, to make Nigerians and give Nigerians a better hope. But they have failed Nigerians. We have offered the 858 communities, we have offered 8,000 square kilometers for the development of the other Nigerians, for the peace. But a little talking we're asking for appreciation. It seems it's difficult for government to do. And these are the reasons why I don't blame those who are asking for Nigeria should be separated, because of these are the things they are looking at, because there's no longer unity. Where we are coming from, it has seemed that it has been forgotten.
And Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says another round of amendments to the 1999 Constitution may commence soon. He said this while fielding questions from reporters at Government House Ilorin. He said there will be more devolution of power from the exclusive to the concurrent list in the new amendment. The Speaker also said that both chambers of the National Assembly will harmonize the amendments and also send it to 36 state houses of assembly. And Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak says more women are needed in government to contribute to national development.
We're all witness to the consideration of the report on, was it what, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever that was? Yeah, Tuesday. So out of 68 bills, I believe the House has passed about a good number, and the Senate ditto. And we will harmonize both houses, and where there are differences, we will sort that out and then pass them on to the state assemblies, including Kwara State. Devolution of powers. No, that's restructuring. I think there were about five or six items where we devolved powers from the exclusive list to the concurrent list, and that's a form of restructuring, a major form of restructuring. You know, correctional services, stamp duties, and so on and so forth. And the local government autonomy is also a form of restructuring. And I believe that the constitutional amendment is ongoing. There will be a second batch of amendments that will come up very soon. I don't know when. And then we'll have a wholesale look at the remaining sections, and then we can talk even better on that, on the issue of restructure. I believe there will be some more devolution of powers from the exclusive to the concurrent list.
Well, it encourages us to do more. It's important, especially with the background of the debate going on in the National Assembly on gender issues. We need to have more women on the table making the decisions. We'll keep pushing the envelope and make sure, like other states emulate Kwara, where we have passed the bill into law, 35% for women in political appointments. We spoke about this issue with the Right Honourable Speaker, and I will continue to engage the National Assembly on that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, spokesman of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has urged Nigerian women to continue to push for inclusiveness in government. Kalu said women should not be discouraged by the setback from Tuesday's voting that excluded numbers of women from participating democracy. He said most of the lawmakers voted based on the information and directives they got from their various constituencies, whom they represent in Parliament. And mixed reactions are trailing contemplation of the same faith ticket in the 2023 election political calculations. The cross-section of respondents who spoke to Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman are divided over the need for religious balancing of candidates in the current political contest, or otherwise.
Ethnic and religious factors play a role in Nigeria's political setup since independence. In 1993, however, Mashood Abiola and Babagana Kingebe, though from the same faith, garnered popular support from the voters who defy ethnic and religious considerations. In 2019, Nasir Rufai and Hadiza Sabwa achieved similar victory in Kaduna State, considered religiously volatile. Since then, debate about same-faith ticket in political contest rages. Professor Jibril Ibrahim is a pro-democracy activist and academic. He is of the belief that owing to Nigeria's diversity, applying federal character principle is a necessity for power balancing in a delicate political contest. His view is in sharp contrast with that of a veteran journalist and publisher Dan Agbese.
There may be contexts in which that may not be necessary, but my view is that as far as possible, it is good to reflect the federal character. Reflecting the federal character includes also reflecting the religious character of the nation or of the states.
We are not Muslims or Christians, we are Nigerians, and the interest of Nigeria is what should matter, not the interest of our religion, because if there is no religion, you cannot protect the Islam or Christianity. So there has to be a country first, and that country has to be at peace. I have to be at peace with my Muslim neighbor. If I'm at peace with him, I feel secure because I know he has my back and I have his back. That's what is important.
Mahmoud Jega is the publisher of 21st Century Chronicle and a prolific writer. He says the political parties have the sole responsibility of determining the composition of their candidates, while a media consultant, Muhammad Kudu Abubakar, expressed reservations.
The political parties must calculate for themselves what is feasible, where they pick their candidates and where they pick their enemies. Everything will be dictated by circumstances and also the awareness of what voters will accept or will not accept. And the political parties are in a very good position to do that.
I've always been an advocate of competence over anything else. I don't really believe in rotational presidency to start with, because I feel the most competent person. Democratic ideals, should determine who becomes a leader, thereabout, not sectionalism. A sectional leader may not necessarily be the best president for this country.
Though Nigerians were not bogged down by religious or ethnic considerations in deciding their leaders in the past, which often led to the prioritization of merit above other primordial sentiments, growing polarization along such fault lines threatens application of this political arrangement. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And over 5.2 million mosquito nets will be given to less privileged, vulnerable groups and other households in Katsina as part of efforts to fight malaria scourge in the state. Minister of Health, represented by Director Clinical Services Dr. Abdul Hakim, said this while flagging off the distribution of insecticide-treated mosquito nets at the Emir's Palace, Katsina. The report.
The minister said the distribution of the treated mosquito nets was aimed at reducing the scourge of malaria, especially among pregnant women and children.
I'm pleased to inform you that the use of ITN as one of the key strategies adopted for the prevention and elimination of malaria in the country by the federal government.
The project director, Society for Family Health, and the program manager, Global Funds, who acknowledged a significant drop in malaria cases in Katsina State, called on people to imbibe the culture of sleeping under treated mosquito nets for the program to attain the desired objective. They say over 12,000 people are expected to be engaged in the mobilization and distribution of the treated mosquito nets across Katsina State.
And also to say that Society for Family Health has been here for at least more than a decade. We've been bringing health to the last mile, and for this event, we are hoping to be able to distribute over 5.2 million nets in your state.
For the ITN distribution to the revised national guideline, this is to limit the spread of COVID-19 in the state. I implore the press to support the creating awareness about the ITN mass campaign and encourage ITN collection and use by the people of the state.
However, the Imam of Katsina, Alhaji Abdulmumin Kabir Usman, advocated for a more modest way of addressing the problem of mosquitoes that spread malaria to people beyond the use of treated nets. This, according to the Imam, include the silting of drainages to ensure free flow of water to prevent mosquitoes from breeding, and frequent fumigation exercise along swamps and ghettos. The relevance of fumigation in addressing malaria cannot be overemphasized. We are not saying the nets are not important, but we need fumigation and the silting of drainages more than the nets. If you don't allow the mosquitoes to breed, then what do you need treated nets for? So you see, it is quite understandable that mosquito nets, Governor Masari, while flagging off the distribution of the treated mosquito nets, lamented the habit of some people who, he said, in spite of government's commitments to construct drainages and culverts, yet they dump refuse inside to cause havoc of flooding. The governor said Katsina State government alone has spent over 16 billion naira in the construction of drainages, besides 10 billion naira committed by NewMap in collaboration with Katsina State government for the design and construction of new drainages as well as erosion control programs.
This issue of fumigation, the area of drainages, the other hand that you remember when we were growing up, it was the responsibility of each household to clear his own portion. And the next person clears his own portion. And in the end, we have a smooth drainage, a cleaner environment, a much healthier environment.
Governor Masari, however, commended the support being received from development partners and called on the good people of Katsina State to make good utilization of the treated mosquito nets. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And still talking health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has registered as 908 suspected cases of measles outbreak in 8 states of the Federation. The NCDC, via its official website on Friday, said that the 6 states affected are Jigawa, Anambra, Katsina, Rivers, Enugu, Delta, Oshun, and Sokoto. The Public Health Agency also stated that there is an ongoing outbreak of measles in Zamfara, which had not been confirmed due to the lack of testing reagents, adding that 58.7% of the confirmed cases were those that had not been vaccinated, as well as a total of 15,792% of confirmed cases. Suspected cases reported across 683 local government areas across the country. Measles is a very contagious infection caused by a virus, and it is common among children. The main symptoms of measles are red-brown blotchy rashes and cold-like flu symptoms, and measles is spread through coughs and sneezes, and is usually contacted before the symptoms fully develop. You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Coming up after the break, how father attempts killing son. This and more after the break. Do stay with us.
For over 10 years, an age-long conflict between herders and farmers, which has transformed into a deadly armed uprising, has claimed the lives of thousands of persons and led to the displacement of thousands of others. Talking to the key actors and victims on the conflict, Trust TV takes a dive into the heart of this conflict and brings all sides of the narratives behind the devastating conflict. In a first by any media organization, we traveled to meet one of the most notorious names associated with banditry, Kachala Turji. We also speak to researchers and experts who help us unravel the layers of the naughty conflict.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now look at our top stories. Kano State Magistrate Court on Friday frees wife of Abdul Malik Tanko facing trial for murder of Hanifa Abubakar. And to other news now, Gombe State Government approves payment of 435 million naira for the payment of West African Examination Council WAEC fees for 23,680 final year students of secondary schools across the state. Ibrahim Ismail reports that the money also covers NAPTEP and Mbaya's examinations.
Briefing newsmen after a State Executive Council meeting held at the Gombe State Government House, the Commissioner of Education said the examination fee is paid for over 23,000 students of senior secondary school who are in their final year.
These public schools, the number of the public schools, senior public schools we have in the state is 149. So the student in SS3 now, after a mock examination that was conducted last year in November, December, government decided that those who were able to pass the examination with the mock examination with 5 credits, including English and math, be paid the examination fees for the external examination of WAEC, NAPTEP, and the last by no means the least, Mbayas. It may interest you to know that the payment for the 23,680 students is an improvement over that of last year. Last year, the government approved the payment for 15,277, similar type of examination. It may interest you to know too that this payment amount to the total cost of 435,282,900 naira only. And this sum that I stated will be shared between the state government and the 11 local government areas.
He added that data shows improvement in the performance of students of senior secondary school during their final year examinations in Gombe State.
For 2021, which I told you, government approved for 277. But of that figure, those that sat for WAEC alone, we have 15,074. And for those that had 5 credits and above, including math and English, was 79.5%, gentlemen, was 79.5%. This is a record figure that we have never had since the history of Gombe State, since Gombe State was created 1st October 1996.
It could be recalled that Governor Inwa Yahiya's administration had declared a state of emergency in the educational sector after taking over the mantle of leadership in 2019 from Gombe. Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, parents are supposed to be the protectors of children, but sometimes parents are so damaged themselves that they cannot do the job. Abusive parents are commonplace in fairy tales and classical mythology, which results in emotionally, verbally, physically, or even mentally abusing their wards. Now, this is the reality of 5-year-old Aliu, who was rescued at the time his father was about to drive a knife through him in Bauchi State. Zainab Bala takes us through his account.
The Almajiri system in Nigeria is highly controversial. The system has been attacked for promoting youth poverty and delinquency, for making them unequipped for the workforce, and for radicalizing boys and making them perfect recruits for gangs and Boko Haram. But in this story, the tables have turned. Aliu is only 5 years old. At this age, he has experienced cruel and violent treatment from his father. Before his life even begins, his father was about to cut it short. He was rescued by a selfless individual that brought him to this Almajiri school to seek refuge.
Shi wannan alhamdulillah shi wannan Aliyu da baban sa mashi wannan wulakanci.
I can't describe how disturbed I am about little Aliyu, who received this cruelty from his father. I usually get children delivered here, particularly those whose communities have been ravaged by conflict. Some of them run into the bushes for their lives. We are looking into Aliyu's case to see how we can locate his father. He was brought here by a kind-hearted individual. We want him to grow older. He is originally from Bauchi. Aliyu also ran into the bush and someone rescued him. We will go to Bauchi in search of his parents soon. Some children here are orphans. We help them with what we get as donations from people.
Aliyu barely speaks to strangers, except when he's amid other Almajiri. It took 2 sticks of candies to get him to talk.
I was beaten by my father with a cane on my back.
He loves being here because he feels safer and accepted. According to reports, abuse and neglect create a lifelong impact on children's brains, bonds, and behaviors, which can translate into lifelong psychological consequences that can manifest as educational difficulties, low self-esteem, depression, and trouble forming and maintaining relationships. Zainab Bala, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, stakeholders believe promoting tolerance and national unity among diverse people will propel Nigeria to greatness. These forms the thrust of discussions at a summit for national integration, peace and security held in Bauchi. Adamu Imam completes the report.
During the Summit for National Integration, Peace and Security, the guest speaker who spoke virtually, the Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Professor Suleiman Ilyas Bogoro, and Professor Umaru Pate Kashere University, says the diversity of Nigeria should be seen as a blessing, not a cause, as it brings the best out of every society.
To reflect over the inevitable, and in a manner that even the arrangement at the meeting today reflects it, that it reflects the diversity of Nigerians converging on a title and topic that is appropriate going forward for our nation.
Our armed forces have also been developed in such a way that everyone will have a sense of belonging in it. Our appointments based on our federal character law is supposed to reflect the diversity in each of our settings. Our media system, we have developed a telecommunication system that will ensure that everyone is part and parcel of it. Our road system, our communication system generally, the aviation, are all developed so that trade can be promoted, movement can be enhanced, and people can stay together and mix together.
More so, the Emir of Bauchi, Dr. Ruwanu Suleiman Adamu, represented at the occasion by the Madakin Bauchi Alhaji Muhammad Gidado, says that Bauchi State is a role model in peace and stability.
Bauchi State is the most peaceful state in Nigeria today. I can testify to that. And anybody
who is here can testify to that as well. And it is because of our cooperation we are working with the government of the day of His Excellency, which we shall continue to do in order to ensure peaceful coexistence in our dear state.
From day one, we already have started talking about the implementation strategy. We are not waiting until we get to the end of it before we begin to think of what to do to ensure implementation. Already we have a post-summit committee that is supposed to take over from where the summit stops. We realize that as an institute, we don't have the power to bring about the change, but we can be catalysts. We can facilitate it, and we realize that some of the problems that are bedeviling this country are issues that are not even, that can be addressed from multifarious perspectives.
Meanwhile, chairman of the occasion, former ambassador to Russia, Alhaji Jibrin Dada Chinade, and national president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Raja Zubairu, added their voice for national integration.
Make your contributions in search for a solution to our national integration. We need it. It's inevitable for our peace, security, and survival. And I pray that this summit, which was initiated from Bauchi, may eventually lead to a very big national success when we have the final summit. Congratulations.
Therefore, the stakeholders urge all participants of the meeting to address issues that are basis of disaffection through leadership inclusiveness at all levels of governance, adding that the issue of minority and majority wouldn't have arise as a basis for who gets what, when, and how in the country. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Disagreement between the Central Bank of Nigeria and Nigeria Custom and Excise has stalled the commencement of the e-valuation and e-invoice policy for import-export introduced by the Apex Bank. The House of Representatives had mandated its House Committees on Banking and Currency and Customs and Excise to wade into the non-compliance by associates, including the Customs, to adhere to the Apex Bank directive.
The Central Bank of Nigeria had on February 1, 2022 issued directive to all operators to digitalize the operating system at the nation's seaport, airports and borders with the aim to plug in leakages and recover more funds through the newly introduced revenue collecting system. Major stakeholders, including the Nigerian Customs Service, say the new policy violates World Trade Organization Agreement on Trade. On the other hand, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says the policy needs at least 90 days before it can be fully implemented.
Article 6 talks on discipline on fees, charges imposed on or in connection with importation and exportation, and penalty. This article emphasized the need for a time frame for the publication of any additional fees or charges. The CBN circular was dated 21st of January 2022 with an effective date of 01 February 22, which is just 10 days apart. The attention of CBN needs to be drawn to the fact that this window is too short for proposed initiative. It will definitely disrupt the trade, supply chain, and revenue collection.
What happened if some companies are able to negotiate better price deal due to their scale of order and are able to get competitive lower prices? Will these competitive prices be within the benchmark? Clearly, this aspect of the policy will lead to several challenges on valuation down the line, including floodgates of valuation issues with the Nigeria Customs Service.
The committee had to shift the hearing by 2 weeks when all the parties failed to reach common ground following a point of order raised by the member of the committee.
The CBN is here and the other stakeholders, which I quite agree with the man did not disagree with the position of the CBN. Neither did they disagree with the custom. Even when I went through the customs document, the customs are just concerned about some conflict in the policy issues. Let them go and tidy out these conflict areas and report to the committee, give us one standard position. Now they have agreed on certain gray areas that will hamper or that will affect the implementation of this policy. And then we move on. We present our case to the committee. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Central Bank of Nigeria, Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and other agencies, maybe like Exporters Association. They are also crying of this e-policy that is going to affect their export. So we will make sure they are here on that day.
The committee adjourned to Thursday, 17th of March, for further hearing as it invites the Ministry of Finance for compliance.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's Apex Bank wants Nigerians to see the Naira as a critical symbol of national identity, as well as respect it and keep it clean. Fatima Saleh-Laden reports that the call is against the backdrop of cases of mutilating the national currency and spraying during social events.
Central Bank of Nigeria's Director of Corporate Communications Department, Osita Nwani-Sobi, says there is need for Nigerians to respect how they handle the Naira notes, as the bank will ensure the availability of clean notes.
Let me urge you to see Naira as one of the critical symbol of our national identity. I enjoin you to respect and keep it clean. Do not spread. Do not spray, hawk, mutilate, or counterfeit the Naira. On our part, we shall ensure we continue to make clean notes available.
He also says the modernization of payment system and increasing number of fintech solutions that offers new capabilities to consumer lent credence to launch the e-Naira. In a related development, the Nigerian Communications Commission says the competitiveness of Nigeria depends on ability to leverage new technologies, as the number of active mobile subscriptions reaches 195.9 million users.
In Nigeria, the number of active mobile subscriptions reached 195.4 million in December 2021, with internet subscribers exceeding 141 million and a broadband penetration 40.88%. In this new environment, the competitiveness of Nigeria, for instance, depends on ability to leverage new technologies.
It is believed that the telecoms consumers using the services daily have played a positive role on the sectors of the economy in terms of increased automation of processes and digital transformation in service delivery. Fatima Saleh-Laden, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Still talking money, loans application software make quick access to loans to make life comfortable, as access to finance is not easy to come by. The economy gets tougher, so does the ability of the average Nigerian to afford day-to-day life. Now, this has led to an increase in the popularity of loan applications, which makes it easier and quicker to access urgent funds. However, many Nigerians have harrowing experiences using these applications. Chamunda Beng has more.
The usage of loan applications within the country has become increasingly popular, as it makes it quicker for people to meet up with their immediate needs. However, the experience for many Nigerians has been nothing short of a nightmare.
I first knew about them in 2018 through a friend, and then I just used them that once and I didn't use them again. But the thing with these people is, once you get to register or get to put your information on their app, they have access to some of your details. So sometimes maybe their system is having malfunctioning, or maybe one of their staff who no longer work with them, they decide to go ahead to sometimes send messages to people that are on your contact because they already have it on their system. So even when you're not defaulting, you just get to see that people are sending messages to someone, send message to your contact. So it first happened to me in 2019, and I was like, I had to call and say, why are you sending messages to people? I have not owned you, or I've not defaulted. And they're like, oh, sorry, our system, or somebody is a mistake or something that happened. So that's how they do it. So this year again, it happened, and I'm like, what's happening? So I had to start, contacting their through email, sending them messages, telling them that, oh, I think you need to do something about this, because if you go check, just once I use and nothing more again, so why am I still getting messages? And that's when I found out that I wasn't the only one. So many people are a victim to this thing, because I saw it on Facebook, one group, and people were complaining badly that, oh, I used them once and after then I wasn't using them again, but they keep going ahead to send messages. So that's what they do.
Many users have spoken out about being harassed as their personal information is thrown open into the social media space in order to intimidate or scam them out of their money, whether or not they have cleared their debt. Why do these applications continue to exist on digital stores?
The emphasis of digital stores is on quality, not on the content, basically. If you pass a certain requirements for quality, you get pass, of course, except if your app is in pornography or in gambling or in other areas that are censored. However, if your app just simply passes, there is no way for Google to know that you are doing some things. The only way to get it out of Google is to report it. And of course, when an app falls below a certain rating, it gets taken off. So what Nigerians should do is to come together and report these loan apps. In fact, a lot of people don't want to know other people are using these apps. A lot of people don't want to tell other people that I'm borrowing money from this app. So nobody wants to create a concerted effort to ban or to report an app. So what we need to do is create some kind of movement, come together and vote all these apps down, take them away from Google Play Stores. And if you actually notice, many of these apps are not on iOS, and they're not on Apple Play Stores, they are majorly on Google Play Stores. And that's what we need to do. Beyond the emphasis on quality of these apps, we need to also vote them down for poor customer experience and for harassment. Yeah.
Many have been warned to desist from using loan applications as it is difficult to regulate them. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari shifts his scheduled medical trip to next Sunday after his early return from Kenya. His media aide, Garba Shehu, confirmed this in a phone interview with Daily Trust on Friday. The president is expected to proceed to the United Kingdom for a 2-week medical check after the Kenya event. Femi Adesina, his spokesman, had announced the medical trip in a statement issued earlier in the week. But Friday afternoon, one of the president's aides said his principal had returned to Abuja without giving any explanation as to why the medical trip is postponed. Bashir Ahmed, a personal aide of Buhari, set tongues wagging when he tweeted that the president, who attended a summit in Kenya, is back in the country. Some Twitter user has expressed shock, demanding explanations over the development. When contacted, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malang Garba Shehu, said Buhari had to return to Abuja after an early completion of his task in Nairobi. And now look at the foreign scene, where over 50 people have been killed and dozens more injured after a powerful bomb exploded inside a Shia mosque in Pakistan's northwestern city of Peshawar. The explosion occurred as worshippers gathered in the Kuchari Sadr Mosque in Peshawar's old area for prayers. Hospital officials say at least 194 people are reported wounded. There is no immediate claim of responsibility. Peshawar's police chief, Muhammad Eljaz Khan, said the violence started when 2 armed attackers opened fire on police outside the mosque. 1 assailant and 1 policeman were killed in the gun battle, and another policeman was wounded. The remaining attacker then entered the mosque and detonated a bomb. In recent months, Pakistan has experienced an increase in violence. Dozens of military personnel have been killed in scores of attacks on army outposts along the border with Afghanistan. And now let's join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Nigerian Judo Federation (NJF) has released provisional camp list of judokas after trials held at Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos in February. Top on the list of judokas invited are Enku Ekuta, Victoria Agbodobiri, Muritala Fatai, Adeyanju Bukola, Agu Blessing, Jonah Kadijo, among others, ahead of 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, United Kingdom from 28 July to August 2022. In football, technical advisor of Super Eagles, Augustine Guavoin, has invited 32 Eagles to camp ahead of 2022 FIFA World Cup playoff against Black Stars of Ghana. Captain Ahmed Musa, William Ekong, Wilfred Indidi, and forward Moses Simon, Kelechi Iheanacho makes the provisional list. Goalkeepers Maduka Okoye, Daniel Akpeyi, Francis Uzoho, defenders Kenneth Omeru, Shemia Jayan, and Abdullah Shehu. The midfielders, Ogenekaro Tebo, Joseph Ayodele Aribo, and forwards Victor Osimhen, Odioni Gallo, and Samuel Chukwueze. Leicester City forward Ademola Lookman recently cleared to play for Nigeria, and former Under-17 World Cup star Akikumi Amo are first-time invitees, while defender Calvin Bassey and forward Emmanuel Dennis return to the fold of the three-time African champions. 2021 AFCON forwards Taiwo Awoniyi and Peter Olayinka, defender Chidozie Awaziem and Ogenyo Nazi are in a 7-man standby list. Camp opens in Abuja on 21st March with a 24-man final list for the two big games to be released at a later date. Nigeria takes on Ghana at 20,000 capacity Cape Coast Sports Stadium on Friday 25th March. Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, will take the second leg on Tuesday 29 March for the second encounter. Winners of the two legs will earn one of Africa's 5 tickets to 2022 FIFA World Cup final, scheduled for 14 November to 18 December in Qatar. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajisafe.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. Don't forget, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and, of course, follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.